Hi, my name is Deb Johnston and welcome to Elevating Entrepreneurs Summit. I'm holding this summit because, like you, I'm an entrepreneur and I know some of the challenges that we can face. I want to show you how you can have plenty of time and the money you want without sacrificing you or your life. Today, I'd like to introduce to you Shirley Solis. Shirley is a peak performance coach and therapist. She's a speaker, an author, and family catalyst who leads powerful men and women to live out their purpose by first creating that strong foundation of family at home. Now, she is a working mum of 6 amazing children, so she fully understands the challenges that we face in building a strong and overall healthy family in today's fast-paced society. She's the creator of Powerful Family Academy, where she helps families thrive and family members excel to become powerful leaders to make a difference in the world today. I'm really excited to have Shirley with us today because I, for one, have family as one of my core values, and I know many other people do. And I know as a business owner that this is an area that can sometimes be forgotten or neglected while we're building our business. So I'm really interested in what she's got to share. Shirley, welcome. It's wonderful to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Deb, and I'm super excited to be a part of this amazing summit to encourage entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Now, first thing I want to say is I just love your accent. I can't get over it. I just want to keep hearing it over and over. It's just so people's like, she said author. And I was like, how can you say that again? I record you and play you over and over. Yeah, so it's beautiful. I'm from Ecuador and I live in South Florida. So we have a different accent here in this part of the world, and it's just fascinating when we hear beautiful accents like yours.
Oh, thank you.
But very excited to be here and very excited to share this passion that I have for family. I know that many of the people watching or listening to this, they have similar passions to ours, right? Because we tend to attract people who are similar to us. Yeah. So I know there's probably a lot of people watching or listening to this that have this passion for business and family, and I just hope that we are able to integrate those two and really understand that we don't have to sacrifice our family at the expense of building our business.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, absolutely, because it's such an important part of life, and I have a fascination for family dynamics too. So I can't wait to hear what you're going to share with us.
Well, wonderful.
Yeah. I'd love it if you start by sharing with our viewers a bit about you, your story, and how you came to be doing what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So just in high school, I was very intrigued by this whole concept of leadership, very intrigued by the idea of being in business and having, ideas and creativity and using that to make money. But what happened shortly after I graduated from high school is I met this handsome paramedic, and he swept me off my feet. And I know I'm making it sound like all amazing. It wasn't all rosy after that. Okay, it looked amazing at the beginning, but I'll tell you a little bit more about why it was rough afterwards. But yeah, he swept me off my feet. We got married a few months after that and started having children. I was in college. As soon as I graduated from college, I decided, by that time we had 2 children, and I decided to just stay at home with the kids and make sure that I spend time with them. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I had never been what I imagined I would end up doing, but once I had children, I really just felt a pull and a tug towards spending time with them and being the best mom that I could. So my career, I pretty much put it to the side, Deb, and I dedicated to becoming a mom, just being a full-time mom. After a few years, I started homeschooling. And everything that I do, I think that's why I'm a peak performance coach, because everything that I do well, and I do as best as I can. And I said, well, I want to know everything that I can about homeschooling, and I did. I read about, my personal library is probably over 5,000 books with timeless, whole section on history, chronological time periods, all section of, I just have all the classics that you can imagine, etc. And that all came because of homeschooling. Now, as the kids got older, and this is where the whole, the Prince Charming off the horse, Gus and I really came from semi-dysfunctional families, that, like, I think most people do. There's really no perfect families. every family is got their quirks, their issues, and some families have more of those than others. The reality is that, you know, back in like the 70s or so, like prior to those times, we could still manage living in a semi-dysfunctional home and things being okay. Like, it wasn't perfect. You know, the moms, if they were cheated on, they just put up with it, unfortunately. The husbands, if they were miserable, they just get up with it as long as the family can stay together. But times have definitely changed, and women have found a new freedom, and men have found another different types of freedom. And so I'm finding that in today's society, there's definitely kind of a clash between what women want, what men want, and the one thing that becomes affected when this couple decides to break it off is the family, the children that are involved. And so that's basically what ended up happening with Gus and I. Is we had done life real well together. At that point, we had 6 children, and I knew we didn't have a good marriage, but we could have children. But we could work life, we could do life well, like we could talk about things like outside of the two of us, you know, intimacy wise, they're like being connected in relationship. We could work together, but I knew we weren't the perfect couple. But I had this idea of like, well, every couple has problems. And I just kind of settled until one day I was hit with a bomb in my head, because Gus had some things that he had been keeping from me. And when I find out, now I'm thinking, oh my gosh, who is this man that I've been married to for all this time? So unfortunately, that was something very difficult that our family went through. But I can tell you, looking back, Deb, that it was the most amazing thing that could have happened, because everything in my life got better after that. Because I had to look inward, I had to look internally and just begin to figure out what it was, who was I? I had to find myself. And then as that happened, I had a desire to put my family back together. So thankfully, Gus was also seeking help. He started finding out more about emotional intelligence, looking to our emotions, learning about belief systems. We were both doing that separately. And as we brought our family together, I realized this is what I want to do. I want to bring my 2 passions together. I want to bring family and I want to bring business. I want to help support the entrepreneur who is out there hustling, making sure that they're doing that without sacrificing their family, and understanding the right family dynamic to really make sure that the family's thriving. So it's kind of the long story of it, but you know, it wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't because there's a background to it, and I have a personal experience of things not working and making them work as a result.
Wow, that's incredible. I love how your personal journey has fueled your passion for doing what you're doing. Yeah, that's fantastic. And thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I love, you know, taking that challenge and actually realizing that it's the best thing that could happen, because that quite often, and more often than not, is the case, that the challenges we meet, if we're willing to take them inward, and look at what it is we need to change, then they can be the best thing that happens. Yeah,
it definitely can be. And at the beginning, it doesn't feel pretty. Like whatever, you know, if anybody's watching right now, you're watching, you might feel like you're going through something, a personal challenge, and whatever it is, it doesn't feel pretty while you're going through it. But if you really allow for the full redemption of the story, you get to the point where you really know, and you can look at like, wow, this was so needed in my life. And that's what's happened to me. And I found a path, you know, of how to get a family outside of anything that they're dealing with. And as a result, that's how I became a coach, because I wanted to give people better results, not just from experience, but also from the neurology component, from the behavior, from the belief systems. I wanted to make sure that from experience and from tools, I had the right just resources to take a family from wherever they are to where they want to be as, you know, husband, wife individuals, partner individuals, and then carrying that over to the family, where the whole family could be thriving.
Yeah, love it. Fantastic. Shirley, why is that family foundation so important in having a great life? And even, you know, if the family foundation isn't working that well, it even affects business in a way, doesn't it? So why is it so important?
For sure. That's a great question. So why is family so important? Well, the other day I was talking to a bestseller, an Amazon bestseller. This man has written multiple books. He's very well known. His name is Bob Curry, and he wrote a series of books. One of them is called From Red to Black. And so he's what they call a turnaround specialist. He's worked for multi-million dollar companies, even a $1 billion company, and he helps companies turn around. And so I said, well, I don't help businesses turn around, although I could, but I said my specialty has been in helping families turn around. And he said, well, Shirley, interestingly enough, the only reason why I have to go in and turn around a business is because that person usually is having problems in their family. So I believe wholeheartedly that everything that we see in the world today, Deb, is just really a bigger picture of family. If we look at government, every government is set up in like the main person, you know, and then from there on, you've got people below, and many of those are set up like family, and in corporations and nonprofits and churches, even like all of these, you know, businesses, small, big, they're set up like family because you have to, there's always someone that is the leader, and there's people that are below you in a way, not like below you as lower people, but you know, they're just under your lead. And the key thing is relationships. And if somebody did not learn to do relationships right in family, what makes us think that we're going to be able to do relationships outside of family well, right? Because my thing is family, like, you know, I can like you as a friend outside, and I can be in my best behavior when I'm working with you, yeah. But eventually we might have a little bit of a challenge. Yeah. And so it's not what you do so much as how I perceive your behavior. And if your behavior, or my perception rather of your behavior, isn't appealing to me, and I begin to create, you know, because of my filters, I start creating the story in my mind, well, then that's going to create some conflict. And so the emotional maturity of the group of people that are engaging in whatever situation they're in, it depends on how well they did family. And if that person, I mean, I've been in situations where people didn't know how to do family. And even though, unfortunately, they said to me, you're like family in business, right? They said, you're like family. But when we had conflict, my definition of family was different than their definition of family. Their definition of family means we can't talk anymore. Sorry, I won't talk to you again. My definition of family is we carry it through until we solve this. And I make sure that my end goal in family, Deb, with my immediate family, you know, my kids, my husband and everything, it's always, we understand our core value, it's connection. The end goal of family is always connection, not conflict. We don't end in conflict. We end in reconnection after there's been a breakup of some kind. So I just wholeheartedly believe that if we can do family with the people that we, you know, like I didn't choose family. I mean, you know, we can have ideas about whether we chose not to, you know, not speaking transcendentally, but you know, just, we didn't choose who we chose to be as family. We were born into it. And if we can do family with those people and we can do the best we can with them, then we can do anything, because it's the hardest to be yourself and to like those that you have the closest to you, to resolve conflicts and to make it through. You can do that. Like I said, you can do anything. You can lead anywhere you go.
Yeah, I love
that. Makes sense, right? I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing, isn't it? And if you're not dealing with those issues in your family, then you're going to keep meeting them in your work environment.
Absolutely. You can be happy. You can be happy because like this man said, you know, this author, the speaker and turnaround specialist was saying, Shirley, the reason why I have to go into a business, it's usually because that person, there's a conflict in their family somewhere. And it's true. Like, you know, he wrote a book and I recently finished reading it, and he was in the book, the owner of the company was running his company probably the way he parented. So if it's an authoritarian father, they're going to be authoritarian, controlling in the company as well. They're going to micromanage all the employees rather than giving them the freedom to be who they need to be, rather than to explore and to, you know, build up their talents. It's like, it's just, it shows up. I can always tell what kind of a parent someone is or isn't because of how they manage themselves in the workplace. And I don't even have to tell me anything. I can just see it. Okay.
Yeah, this is fascinating. Yeah, and it is so true. And until you heal that situation in family, it will keep showing up externally to family, whether it's business, whether your business fails and then you go into employment again, it still shows up, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing too, like there's people that I talk to who are able to do their job real well. So I've had clients who are anesthesiologists, excellent at what his, he's an Air Force pilot, anesthesiologist, amazing at what he does. And he's been trained for that. And then I remember having clients who have multiple businesses, who they have weekly they have weekly corporate meetings with their staff in one in Canada, one in Phoenix, amazing at what they do. But they received training for that. There's been skill for that. But we didn't receive skill for family. The blueprint that we have for family is basically what we got from our parents or what we saw from TV, maybe a movie, I don't know, but not too many people saw a healthy family. So that's the blueprint. And then there's been no training attached to that. I mean, it's a recipe for disaster, and it's really the most important relationship base that we'll ever have. So I feel really bad for those people when they hire me. Most of the time it's the dad. The dads come in and they say, well, the wife looks at me, she's like, help. And I said, I understand your pain. And then I come in and the dads want to be involved. They want to, create something new for their family, but they just don't know what to do. So I come in and you're a coach, an NLP coach as I am. And what I do is I just create similarities. And I say, well, tell me how you perform your job and let me bring those strategies over to your family and see it's the same thing. And they're like, whoa, it is the same thing. And I'm like, yeah, it's the same thing. I just have to show you how it carries over, or sometimes it isn't the same thing. Like in the case of this doctor, he was using a strategy that when he was for someone to not die, he had to micromanage everything. And so he was in some areas micromanaging the family too much, where there was just too much control. And so that wasn't working. So I use what they already know, what they're comfortable with, to bring it, into their family so that it can work well. Because nobody taught us to do family. But thankfully, I'd love to teach people how to do that.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
I love this. Fascinating. So how do you build that strong, solid family foundation? How are some of the ways that we can do that? The viewers. Yeah,
absolutely. So, for instance, what's fascinating, I'm going to continue to use this example of this doctor. Is one of his personal goals is to lose weight. And so, of course, as a coach, I can work with him on his own personal goal. I can work with his wife and her personal goal. And then what's cool is after I work with them, I carry it over into the family. So the very first thing that I encourage families to do is to create a mission statement. Now, for businesses, we do that all the time. But for family, people are like, what, really, a mission statement? Like, yeah, if we do it for corporations, why wouldn't we do it for the family? What kind of a family do you want to have? It's so important to recognize the kind of culture that you've created. Because remember, a culture is created in your family, even if you haven't purposely created one. It may not be the kind of culture you want, but one has been created. So you recognize what kind of culture you have, you recognize what kind of culture you want to have, and then you create a mission statement that's going to guide and give family, every member of the family, the boundaries and the guidelines of what we're going to do. And so I love it because there's no mission statement that's similar. Everybody's so unique, the same. And it gives everyone in the family, especially for children who've been adopted or family, I'm seeing a lot more of those now where it's blended families. For every family it is important, but especially for those, it gives them more of an identity, like I belong here, right? And so once we've created that, we're basically, in the essence, it's what I call pillar number 1 with Powerful Parenting Academy. This is what I call pillar number 1. And there is a vision for your family. When you have a vision, you have this culture and you have this mission that's carrying you through, everybody knows, and you're being led by the big vision of your family, and you sell your family on this vision. Then ultimately, the second thing that I love encouraging families to do is to work on their character. I feel like, character is such a word of like the 1950s. Everybody talked about character back then. Like, here in the United States, we speak about this country was founded on good character. But nobody really talks about good character anymore. It's kind of lost in the it's not a part of our everyday language. So when we talk about honor or integrity or truthfulness or kindness or stewardship, it's like, what is that? So what I find that character does for families is it gives the children a concept of the desired behavior. Because parents will say, well, don't stop putting your shoes by the entrance of the door. And you know very well that the unconscious mind doesn't process negative. So that's, first of all, the wrong way to say it. But second, is that really what we want to say? We don't want to just tell our children, hey, put your shoes where they go. We want to really, the bigger message, the chunked up message is be an orderly person.
Yes.
And what does order mean? Why does it matter? And so when I teach parents to teach their children character, I'm basically chunking up the behavior as much as I can and giving it an image so that not just the parent can feel like, oh, this is simple, but because I don't have to tell them, pick up this, pick up this, pick up this. The goal is become orderly and become organized, So that's the second pillar. All right. So you first work on your vision, then you make character a pillar in your family where everything that you're wanting to work on, it's a function of the character trait that you're working on. Makes sense? Yeah. And I mean, if you think about it, for entrepreneurs, I have used the same exact concepts in a business and they work. I just go into an office and I say, okay, we're going to have a weekly meeting. What's your mission? What's your vision? What's the mission statement? Bam. Then what's a character trait you need to work on that's going to make you a better employee? Bam, it works, okay? Yeah. Number 3 is experiencing growth, constantly growing. When the family looks like life skills, it means like stepping outside of your comfort zone. It means maybe learning a different language, reading books, just constantly growing and creating an experience where I'm managing myself and I'm in charge of my education as much as you. I'm not going to push anything on you. Rather, I encourage you to be the best version of you. So that's the pillar of growth. And then the thing that I'm finding, Deb, is a lot of times when there's conflict in the family, it's because either the husband or the wife are not growing at the same pace. They're mismatched, and the kids don't even understand this concept of growth. I think like the reason why I'm able to be a mom who is relaxed and calm is because I've instilled the concept of growth to my children, so they're constantly growing. Therefore, something like if they would happen to make a wrong decision, because they're growing, I put my trust in the fact that they're going to get out of this because they're people who believe in growth.
Yes.
So I'm not worried. They're going to outgrow this season or this phase of their life. So that's pillar number 3. And then last but not least is pillar number 4, that is emotional intelligence. And this is where, as a parent, I have a concept created that it's called reflection maximization. And reflection maximization says, my children are my reflection. And in order to maximize who they are, I maximize who I am. So if I want my children to not be so angry and anxious, I'm seeing a lot of that too, like children who are angry, children who are anxious, biting their nails, or cursing at their parents, believe it or not, or just very depressed and dealing with a lot of emotions. Well, as a parent, I'm going to take responsibility for that and understand, well, how did I cause that? Not like I'm going to put guilt on me, but is there anything in my own personal life that I haven't dealt with? Like, for instance, do I not speak to my parents? Have I not forgiven my mom for something that happened? And hence, when I make a mistake with my child, it's hard for my child to forgive me. Well, if I'm going to reap what I sow, then this has got to first start with me. So this is where I give parents these tools to begin to understand their own emotions. We can't rely on the psychologists and psychiatrists to do the learning for us. We have to educate ourselves. And because I know that sometimes those psychology books can be complicated to read, I break it down for them in very simple terms. However, it's still the parents' responsibility to understand this. And the moment that, Deb, the moment that as parents, we get into this pillar of emotional intelligence and we learn about this, that's where real connection can happen. Because now I'm no longer afraid to connect with you and to become vulnerable. To say, I know I looked like I was controlling you. And I really did. I call that snake parenting. When the snake gets around the prey and it's like, I'm going to choke you, It's like, I know I looked like I was controlling you, but that's really just me being afraid. I'm afraid that something will happen to you. I'm afraid that, And let me tell you, when we become vulnerable with our children and we lead with love in that way, they put their guards down too. And they say, oh, mom, I'm sorry. I didn't realize, I was doing this. And everything changes. But it only happens at this, you've had to have done the first 3 pillars. And then to get to the 4th pillar, if you have a vision of that kind of a family and you have the right character for the everyday things and you're growing, then the emotional intelligence is kind of like the cherry on top to make sure that the family is connected, getting along, and just feeling really fulfilled with one another.
Love it.
Yeah.
And I love those 4 pillars, and what really came to mind for me then is it's really about each member of the family. When you've gone through this process, each member of the family can then see their responsibility in those areas as well, and it keeps you aware. I think that's the important part here. It keeps you aware on your direction as a family, what your agreement is as a family.
Yeah.
Awesome. And it is so similar to business.
I feel like I created these pillars. This is my life blueprint, basically. I was in high school, I told you, all into leadership. And so as soon as I had kids, I started creating a vision. And I would set goals like, okay, who's reading what and what character am I working on? And then I just started adding these pillars as I came across difficult things in my life with my family, the last one being the emotional intelligence. And as I did that, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to teach people about character. But I was like, well, I can't teach them about character if they don't have a vision. And next thing I know, I have this blueprint and I start implementing it and it works. And it makes it really simple for dads, because I found that dads get very overwhelmed, but they can understand just 4 simple pillars. And everything is underneath those. I always coach parents and I say, well, just think of what problem you're having. It's going to be solved by one of these 4 things, one of these 4 pillars, and families do thrive when they know what they're doing. People thrive. See, I have multiple children who are following their dreams and their passions, who are thriving in relationships, and they're happy and they're fulfilled where they are. And they know that no matter what they do, any mistake they make, they're always going to be welcomed. Like there's no wrong, and they're allowed to make mistakes. In fact, one of my sons came to me and he had done something really stupid. And I can say he had, smoked some pot. And I was like, what? And like, mind you guys, I know this is shocking, but I'm very open and very vulnerable. And he came to me afterwards. We had a conversation, and he said, Mom, thank you for not putting me through like a drug test every day. He said, a lot of moms from my friends' parents have done that. He says, and you just trust me. And I said, son, I know how I've raised you. I know what you're doing. And if you just needed to try that, it's stupid, but I love you. Like, I believe in you to make the right decision. And this child he's like, yeah. I mean, when there is freedom, people can thrive. Yeah. But when there's control, there's choking. They don't. They feel like, I can't. And when you say to someone you can't, they want to do it more. And so it's a beautiful process. I just hope that everyone here watching, that you would want to edify your family as much as you want to edify your business. Because there is nothing like making money and not having a strong family. Whereas you have a strong family, that family can be your greatest support. They can cheer you on when you have a success. They can be there to pick you up and see your growth. It may take a little bit longer, because I have sacrificed my growth probably a little bit because of focusing and putting family first all the time. But I'm going to do it on my terms. And I feel like if we are creators, because in essence as business owners, Debs, we're creators. Every single entrepreneur and this listening to this is a creator. You're a visionary. Well, by all means, create the vision of having the life that you want, and let that include putting your family first and creating an amazing relationship. Yeah.
Because it serves all aspects of your life when you do that. Yeah.
And there is so much, like you were saying, there's so much from business, that from family, that you can carry over to business, and vice versa.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to get good at one and be like really sucky at the other one. Like you can do both real well. Especially, I think, because of the approach that I use, which is so unique in that there are, like, I have a family meeting every week.
Love it.
If you're a company, you would have a staff meeting every week. And so if there is an entrepreneur that wants to improve their business, they would just have to learn these principles, apply them with their family, and boom, it's like two birds with one stone.
Just map it across. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. It's simple. Mm-hmm.
And you know, there might be people watching who think, oh, well, I don't have the time to do this. But I think when you put the time in to do this, it actually saves you time, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, you could have not mentioned something so important. Because what happens is parents waste a lot of energy. You know, people spend a lot of energy on trying to keep the wheel spinning, like that hamster around the wheel. They're like, stop, stop, stop. There's a lot of stops. Parents who don't know what they're doing. So a lot of their energy is spent in don't do this, don't do that, you know, avoiding conflict, creating conflict, or trying to stop conflict once it's already happened. But it's just a matter of time, right? And so that in itself is very exhausting. Whereas, how do you think, as a mother of 6, my youngest is 8 years old. So when I started building this, it was she was a newborn. And how is it that I've been able to write a book, become a speaker, become a master coach, learn everything about the internet? There was a time where I would build all my own websites, write all of my own copy, meet with people that wanted to coach when I still wasn't pricing what I should have been pricing. I would like meet with people, help them coach, you know, and then grown to where I'm at. If it's not because I delegated to my children. Because I said, hey, it's time for you to learn and do this, because we had a vision for where we were going as a family. The character was in place because they were growing, because my 14-year-old cooks for the entire family and she does laundry for the entire family. So I can just wake up in the morning, if I have a meeting, I can just say, okay, make sure that when I get back, the laundry's done. And we homeschool still, by the way. So little ones need to have done their writing. They manage themselves properly. I don't have to worry about what they're going to do. They're going to get in the wrong thing. They're going to be unsafe. No, my 8-year-old, if she has to cook some rice or make an egg, he or she will do it. So they're managing themselves, and that's why it gives me the freedom to enjoy my life and to help other people. And they're a part of that. So for sure, it'll free up your time, because I don't worry about anything related to family. Family to me is an addition. It's a blessing. It's one more of my joys. It's one more of my joys.
I love it. It's awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Shirley, that we haven't already talked about?
Oh my gosh, we could talk about all these. Just so fascinating. Well, you know, I want to tell, if I haven't already, but reiterate, who you are, your children are watching. They won't do what you do. They won't do as you say. They will do as you do. They will model you. Okay. And because we humans, we live by model. And so if you really want to build a legacy, because as entrepreneurs, I believe that we're in a different level than the average parent. And I work with all kinds of parents. I work with the single mom, the single dad, and I work with the mom that just had a few children, and her purpose is just that at that moment, and that's fine. When you've gotten to the point where you're an entrepreneur, you've evolved in your consciousness. The level of what you're thinking, you're thriving, your purpose, you've found something, you know there's more. And if that more, I would just hope and pray that it would include more, not just in business, but more in your life as a gift. And there's a key word, and it's legacy. The legacy that you leave for your family in character, in vision, in entrepreneurship, in your entire way of doing life is all there for you and for me. So I want to encourage you to, every single one of you, to make sure that you are leaving this legacy so that it counts. there is no relationship in your family, whether it's your parents, your uncles, aunts, brothers, sisters, and your immediate family with your husband, wife, children, that cannot be restored. Yes, there's some unhealthy relationships, but there is so much hope and there's so much that you can learn if you just go back and reconcile some things. And it doesn't mean reconcile the relationship per se, but reconcile what happened, the events. And so I know that Deb, you can help them with that for sure, and probably a lot of the coaches on this, but find someone who can guide you, find someone who can mentor you. That's very important. Someone who's done what you want to see through, and just be open and be vulnerable and say, hey, I want to really leave a legacy, and I want to enjoy what this crazy little Hispanic lady over in this video said, the joy of having family. So I hope that hopefully my passion more than my words have really expressed the beauty of what family can do while you're building a successful and profitable business in whatever you're doing.
Absolutely. You certainly touch me. Certainly, especially the part about legacy. I was just really connected with that, and that's just so beautiful.
Yeah. That's where it's at. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's where it's really. That's where it's really at.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah. And one last thing I just want to say: it's not about perfection. We have made so many mistakes. It's about being willing to do life together.
Yeah.
So with our family, it's like we've made a ton of mistakes, but we're not wanting to be the perfect family. We're wanting to be the family that makes it work, that works things out. So just kind of want to say that there's no perfect family. I'm not the perfect family, and I'm not going to show you how to have a perfect family, but I will show you, how to be empowered and how to make the right decisions and how to be okay when you don't make the right decisions, and just how to get along, the tools and the practical things that will make family work.
Yeah, I love that. It's all about acceptance and forgiveness, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Absolutely. So
you have an amazing free gift, don't you, to offer our viewers? Can you tell us a little bit about your free gift?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just did a fun 4-video series in Powerful Parenting Academy. And that is where I talk about the different styles of parenting. And I talk about snake parenting. I talk about toe parenting. That's the tug of war, when parents like to play tug of war with their kids. I talk about tunnel parenting, when parents are just micromanaging and just focused on something really narrow. But there's some really, I believe I go into 6 styles of parenting there. And I also share more about these 4 pillars and some just really interesting stories. And I know that I just want to make sure that you guys get them as a free gift, no strings attached. And to get that, you can simply go to powerfulparentingacademy.com. And that's powerfulparentingacademy.com. You'll see a super fun video there with me waking up in the morning and the alarm clock. And then just put your name and email, and you'll have access to the videos right away. Just have fun with them, learn something new, share them with your friends, and let's get this rolling. Let's get this movement of strong entrepreneurs leading their businesses and leading others, modeling the right family with the right family values. So I hope that you guys enjoy them, and it's certainly great that you guys can have them.
Yeah, I'm going to be accessing those. That sounds fantastic, Shirley. Thank you so much. You can access Shirley's free gift on this page that you're watching the video on. So when you finish watching the video, click on the link. It'll either be to the side or at the bottom of the video, depending on what device you're watching it on, and access Shirley's free gift there. And I do encourage you to do that because, as we've heard today, foundation of family is so incredibly important, and it can affect all aspects of your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Deb, for having me. And it's just been an absolute joy. I look forward to connecting with anyone and everyone who wants to stay in touch with me. I'm definitely on Facebook, and on that page, once you opt in, you'll be able to have access to me and just connect with me as well. If there's anything that I can help you with, please do not hesitate to reach out. I definitely want to add value to this community because your leader is amazing. She is just an absolute love, just a wonderful human being. persistent, loving, strong, and just as gentle and feminine as can be. And I love that. So thank you, Deb, for having me.
Thank you so much, Shirley. Thank you so much. I tell you what, I've gained some insights here for my family, and my family's grown up. And I've certainly gained a lot from this interview. You've given us so much value, and I'm really grateful for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, really, really grateful. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I trust that you've gained as much from this interview as I have. I've certainly gained a lot, and learned a lot of knowledge and wisdom that can help you have a beautiful, strong family foundation, and help you also have a beautiful, strong business, because it's all the same as we just heard today. Keep tuning in for upcoming interviews. I'll have more incredible experts all sharing their wisdom and their tips and strategies on how you can have plenty of time and the money you want without sacrificing you or your life, talking around topics like mindset, wellness, health, productivity, time management, marketing and branding, and lots more. Shirley, thank you so much again. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
And thank you, everyone. And I'll look forward to connecting with you again soon. Have the most amazing day today.